They thought the enemy was hiding in the trees. But what hunted them in the woods of Eastern Europe wasn't wearing a uniform. It didn't bleed. And it didn't die. It started with a scream. Not from a soldier, but from the fog itself. October 1944. Somewhere along the Eastern Front, deep in the Carpathian Mountains, Lieutenant David Granger crouched beside a dying campfire, staring into a wall of mist curling silently between the blackened trunks of the forest. His boots were soaked. His radio was dead. His men were breaking. Fox Company, a reconnaissance unit with 23 soldiers, had been pushed far beyond friendly lines after a German counterattack. Cut off. No contact for days. The fog hadn't lifted since they'd crossed into this cursed stretch of forest. At first it was an inconvenience. Then it became something else. "Lieutenant," whispered Private Cooper, glancing over his shoulder. "Something's watching us." Granger didn't respond. They'd heard rumors from locals in a nearby village before entering these woods. Stories about the forest eating soldiers. About voices that mimicked the dead. About something older than war that lived in the mist. At the time, Granger dismissed them. What breaks people? Superstition fills the cracks. Then Langston died. The young private had gone 20 feet from camp to relieve himself. When he didn't return, Granger and Vega, the medic, went looking. They found him propped against a tree, eyes open, mouth slightly parted, body unmarked. Rigor mortis had barely begun, but the look on his face, pure terror, had frozen into permanence. "Heart failure?" Vega muttered, but his voice lacked confidence. Granger wasn't sure. Langston had been laughing 2 minutes earlier. That night, the fog closed in tighter. It pressed around their tents, muffled the world. Some men claimed they heard voices. Others reported footsteps outside. No one slept. Private Thompson was the next. He'd been standing guard at 0300 when the sound came, a high-pitched screech, like metal tearing flesh, overlapped by the sobbing of a child. The entire company stirred. By the time they reached his post, he was gone. Vanished. Only his helmet remained. Still warm. There were hands, Vega whispered, eyes darting. Dozens of them. Just reaching. Granger decided to move the unit. Get out of the forest. Fog or no fog. They marched at first light. The path twisted. Compass needles spun. Birds were silent. No insects. Just the crunch of boots on frozen leaves and the slow hiss of mist swirling. At noon, they found the village. Rotten, skeletal buildings huddled together in a clearing. No signs of life. No corpses either. Just decay. Inside one home, they found a journal written in faded ink. Vega, who spoke Romanian, translated. "The forest is not a place. It is a hunger. A mouth that opens. We were fools to think it would sleep forever." That night, they made camp inside the church. Private Hughes sat by the fire, telling a story about a girl he knew back home. He laughed. And disappeared mid-laugh. Gone. No noise. Just gone. The fog crept into the cracks in the church walls like it was listening. They fortified the ruins the next morning. Dug shallow trenches. Set tripwires. Posted guards. It didn't matter. At midnight, Vega screamed. Granger ran to the trench and saw a pale hand gripping Vega's ankle, pulling him into the dirt. It was bloated, covered in lesions. Its fingers were far too long. Its mouth was sewn shut. Its eyes were endless pits. Granger fired 3 rounds into its face. It didn't fall. It didn't bleed. It dissolved into fog. Vega wept and clutched his leg. "It's under us," he gasped. "It lives in the ground." They didn't sleep again. 2 days later, while trying to find higher ground, they stumbled on an old Orthodox chapel. The doors were half rotted, the stained glass shattered. Inside, they found a corpse in black robes slumped over an altar. In his hands was a book bound in stitched skin. Granger opened it. The words inside crawled into his brain like spiders. Vekmigolos. The eternal voice. Born in war. Fed by suffering. It whispers, it waits, it consumes. Behind him, someone whispered his name. He turned. No one there. They began to break, one by one. Private Ross gouged out his eyes, laughing. I won't see it. I won't see it again. Vega hanged himself using barbed wire. His last note. The fog is inside now. We let it in. Only Cooper and Granger remained. They tried to escape. North. Then west. But every path twisted. Trees moved. Familiar landmarks turned unfamiliar. There was no sun anymore. No stars. Just mist. Endlessly gray. Cooper began to see things. His mother. His dead brother. I heard her voice. He whispered. She told me to come home. Granger heard them too. His daughter. His wife. Every man he'd ever led to death. They whispered to him. Pleaded. He shot Cooper in the chest. A reflex. A mercy. The voice laughed. A chorus. Dozens. Hundreds. All wrong. Then silence. Weeks later, a Soviet patrol found the ruined village. Empty. Cold. The air stank of rot and something older. Inside the chapel, they found a rusted bayonet pinning a letter to the altar. It was written in dried blood. We went into the forest to kill men. We left as ghosts. Don't follow the screams. In 1987, a group of hikers vanished in the same forest. Only a single object was recovered, a weather-worn camera. Its final photo was of thick gray fog. And hands. Dozens of pale hands reaching from the mist. They were smiling.